So I was in Paris during Fashion Week and I got a last minute invite to a party, but I didn't really have an outfit I was super excited about, so I decided to walk up to Montmartre, the fabric district, to see if I could find some fabric. I did have an idea of an outfit that I was looking for. There was a top and a scarf that I was interested in, so I wanted to make something sort of similar to that. Always before I go to a fabric store, I like to have an idea of what I'm looking for and what I want to get, because there's so many options you can get really easily overwhelmed. So I usually like to bring photos or drawings or some sort of inspiration that can kind of keep me on track of what it is that I'm trying to make. And with that, I always like to think also of like the notions, the thread, if I'm going to need elastic, ribbon, so I like to write a list out of that as well. Another little tip I like when I'm going to a fabric store, sometimes if I have a shirt or a skirt or some sort of garment that I'm trying to replicate in a way, I'll bring that with me so I can feel that fabric and then go around to the fabrics in the store and feel for something that's similar, because sometimes when the fabric's on the roll, it's hard to tell how it's going to lie, but if you already have something that is made out of a fabric similar, you can kind of feel for the fabric in the store that's going to match. So this is my travel sewing kit, and in it I usually like to bring elastic, some thread, pins, I would say the most important are pins, measuring tape, hand sewing needles obviously. I like to have a thimble in case my fingers start to hurt, and if I'm traveling by train I'll bring scissors. And then I end up having to buy some thread anyways, but it's good to always keep a black and a white, I feel. It's quite a thick thread that I got, which I feel like will make it easier if I'm hand sewing, so it matches quite nicely actually. If you just hold it up like that, it's kind of hard to tell sometimes. The thread usually looks quite a bit darker. A really good test, if you pulled one of the threads out to see how it looks on the fabric, and that actually looks like a way better match than when you hold the whole roll up. And then I got these little hooks and eyes, agrafe, and that's gonna be for my corset top. And for the fabric, this is some sort of silk. I got it in the €2 pile. It's very crisp, which I think is going to be good because I don't have an iron. If you fold it, it really keeps its shape, so I think that'll help with hand sewing. And I think this might be like a viscose or a rayon. It's very slinky. It's heavy, which is nice, I think. A very nice weight to it. Again, the most important thing I brought are honestly the pins. I want to create like a corset kind of vibe, so I have to remember I'm doing it inside out. There's not enough fabric to loop all the way around. It doesn't close the back, so how am I going to do it? Oh, that's it. So I'm going to cut this in half. This will fit around the front, and then if I cut the other piece in the back. Okay, so I'm going to take this and cut it in half. My two pieces. Again, I don't know how long I want it. I kind of want it like, this is going to be the front piece, and then I'm going to have clasps at the back. So I actually need this piece to be in two. Now I've got my 3 pieces, so I'm just going to pin 2 sides. So now I've got one side pinned, so I'm going to just bring it in on the side. I kind of want to pin it more, come in at the waist a bit. Okay, I like that. And then I can mark on this side too, and then just pin it because it's easier to pin when you're not wearing it. Okay, perfect. And that leaves enough to do my situation in the back. Side seam, side seam. That's gonna be good. It's still pretty loose, but that can also be taken into the back. So I'm gonna put 2 darts in from here. When putting these darts in, it's not really about the position of where they are, because I can move that, but more how much fabric I'm going to be taking in. Around the waist, I'm going to be taking in more. With that measurement, I can then move, like as you can see, they're pretty wonky. I can then move them and straighten them out. And then also like to take it off and kind of like readjust everything with it off is going to be easier than pinning it on yourself. But if the front fits in this way, then I can do the back after, and I don't have to worry about it right now. So I'm going to now just readjust where I put all my pins. So I'm just measuring. I'm going to put 1 dart along this line here. So I put a pin here and a pin here. And with that, I can then kind of eyeball, and I know how much I'm taking in around the center, and I'm going to pin 2 centimeters here and then try it on, but at least give me like a straighter line of where I'm putting my dart. And then I'm going to do the same on this side. It's going to be a bit playing it by ear. And you can see too the shape of it. is starting to now like pan out. It should be kind of like V-shaped like this. Oh, it's looking kind of cute. Okay. But it's getting a little more shape. Again, the back doesn't really matter. I just really want to make sure that it fits the front of my torso. This is lying decently flat considering there's pins in it. It's sort of easier to see how it's lying when it's inside out still, because seeing where the pins are kind of helps, and when it's inside out it gathers less. I'm gonna base stitch it, so I'm just gonna do like a very loose stitch. That'll let me see then without the pins how it's gonna lie. Yeah, I'm into it. I can use my measuring tape now to make sure that everything's kind of equal before I put this stitch in. Okay, yeah. Sweet. Just following where the pins are, but again, like you pin this on yourself, so it could be kind of rough. Make sure that everything's lying pretty flat. So I would trust it lying flat more than I would trust the pins. I think the main part here is if you sew it a little too big, it'll be easier to make little stitches to kind of tighten it up. But if it's too small, then you're dealing with taking stitches out, which is a little more irritating because something's too tight. So I'm done this one now. I'm just gonna tie that off. Yeah, so the seams that I sewed are already looking a lot better than the ones that are just pinned. This is the one here that I haven't sewn, and this is the one that I just sewed. So it's lying quite a bit flatter. Another thing I would add to my sewing kit that I don't have, that I forgot to bring, would be a seam ripper. Because, you can do it with scissors, it's just like, there's a higher risk of you cutting your fabric if you're using your scissors, especially mine. They're not very small. Scissors are fine. It's more I just didn't want to bring that much stuff, / I forgot. Okay, I have a feeling my pins are dropping all over the floor. When you're sewing darts, also, you don't want them to be like sharp. If the fabric's just flat, you want the dart coming in at a nice angle rather than just out of nowhere. If it just pops up at like a 45-degree angle, it's going to create a point in your fabric. So you want to really slowly ease in when you're sewing darts. That's why even taking the dart further than maybe you'd want it to, but at a really soft angle, it'll look a lot smoother and won't create a point in your fabric. Really ease into your dart when you're sewing it, and it'll lie a lot flatter. The last bit's pinning the back, which is gonna be hard on myself. So actually this is looking really good. It's looking cute. Okay, so I'm gonna do hooks and eyes on the back, so it's gonna leave like a little bit of space. So I'm gonna fold over the fabric. Like here you can see there's like overlap, which we don't want. So I wanna fold it kind of like, I think it's like here. Okay. So yeah, definitely the move is pin it in the front like this to get a gauge. And then I'll flip it around and like try it. Again, because this fabric is so stiff, like it makes it so much easier. It holds its shape so well. Okay, this is gonna be tight. So now we've got all the seams sewn, we've got our dart sewn tighter, and we French seamed it. So there's actually, okay, ouch. I'm gonna just do it, I think. I guess like it's pretty thick, like I folded over the fabric now a few times. Like there's like 3 folds in it. So to have the corset like thick like that with all these extra layers, it's almost like a boning technique. I think it depends on like what fabric you're using if you want to have it all layered in, but I sort of like thick at the back like that. Would I do that if I wasn't doing it by hand? I don't know. And then I just have to put in the hooks and eyes and the top will be done. This is what everything looks like right now. I went in again, tighter seams on all my darts, and then I've got my French seam. This fabric really frays. I should finish that. Just do like a zigzag stitch to like lock in those threads and just do it along. I'm gonna sew on my hooks and eyes, and then I'm gonna French seam it after so that all of the threads that are put through for the hook and eye are gonna be on this little bit. So with all the hooks and eyes on, and then I'm gonna French seam after. Whenever I'm doing hooks and eyes, I like to place the top one and the bottom one first. It is a good idea. I mean, I always measure it just because I wouldn't like if they were not equal. So I'm wearing it. The top actually fits really nicely. I really like it. And then I did this like scarf, which is kind of like the look that I was trying to do. But I wanted to tie it with the shoes and the skirt. The skirt is something that I've made in a tutorial. It's the asymmetric lettuce hem. So there's a video for this skirt, which actually it kind of just like works with a lot, but it's a little different than just like a black mini skirt. This is the slinky fabric, which feels really nice. And some boots from eBay. I don't know what jacket I want to do yet. Yeah, I think it works. I'm into it. And yeah. Thank you so much for watching, and if you liked the video, please subscribe. Use it. My God.